Oh great, it's 30 to 50 feral zombie animal targets from the local sporting goods store. Oh gobble, Mr. Turkey, it's just you. Mr. Turkey, look out behind you. Greetings, loves. It is I, Tactical Girlfriend. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing well. Today for you, I have a review of the EOTech EXPS3 holographic sight in combination with the G45 5x magnifier, also from EOTech. This is an optic setup that I've been running for a few months on my shorter 11.5-inch BCM build, and I really am liking it. I've got a lot of thoughts on it, and I do want to share those with you. So without further ado, let's get into it. But as always, let me start out with full disclosure here. No, I'm not a shill for Big Holo. EOTech isn't paying me to do this review. They didn't send me anything. I simply bought these two pieces of glass with my cash at street price. And yeah, I kind of went broke doing it, so hopefully this review is appreciated, but these are popular items, and I do think they're relevant to be talking about when it comes to optics, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay. So let me just start by talking about the EXPS3-0, and let me just break down how their naming convention works. The EXPS series and the XPS series are different. There's also the XPS2 and the XPS3, and as well as the EXPS2 and EXPS3. First of all, the E means that you have the elevated QD riser that it comes with. The XPS simply has no riser. The XPS series mounts at true co-witness, whereas the EXPS series mounts at 1/3 co-witness. Now, another important note on the EXPS series, we have the controls on the side of the chassis. Now, on the XPS series, all the controls are on the very rear of the optic, so if you are mounting some sort of magnifier like I have here, that can be a little bit problematic, so make sure that you're choosing which one is right for your purposes. Now, you have two models, you have the 3 and the 2. The 3 is night vision compatible, the 2 is not. You then have a dash and then another number. This is the 3-0, where you have 1 dot. Then the 3-2 has 2 dots, and that's for bullet drop compensation. And then you have the 3-4 for, you guessed it, 4 bullet drop compensation dots. On the reticle itself, you have a 68 MOA donut of depth for your quick acquisition CQB purposes, and then smack dab in the middle, your point of aim, your little dot there, is 1 MOA. When adjusting windage and elevation, every click for every adjustment is 0.5 MOA. As far as the brightness settings go, you get 20 daylight settings and 10 night vision settings. This optic runs on a CR123 battery, and according to EOTech, that runs on average about 1,000 hours for continuous use, which is not a lot, but the trade-off is that you get a lot of capability with this kind of optic, and that's kind of just the price you pay with holographic optics in general. This optic is also very rugged. It has a really good chassis design with an aluminum shroud that covers up the optic itself, keeping everything nice and safe in there. and it also is waterproof down to 10 meters. With the mount on this optic, this thing comes in at 11.2 ounces, which is not terribly light. It is a chunky boy, but again, you do get a big trade-off there for a lot of capability. And finally, this optic generally sells for $729 street price. It fetches a very pretty penny, but it is also an excellent optic. It's one of the best that you could probably get out there if it does suit your purposes, so you definitely get what you pay for here. Another note on this optic, as well as holographic sights from EOTech in general, there were many years ago some issues with thermal drift where if the optic was in some sort of extreme temperature, it would become a little bit inaccurate and inconsistent. That has since been addressed. I think anything past 2016 should probably be okay. So it's not really an issue anymore. People still talk about it, but it's like not even a thing, so don't worry about it. Just get a newer one. Okay, with the technical specs out of the way, let me just give my thoughts on this optic. For one, holographic sights rule. They're really cool. They are really good for dynamic shooting and rapid acquisition. Anyone doing anything where they're trying to go fast, this thing is probably going to be the best thing for you. There's no eye box. It's got a very wide field of view. It has probably the lowest parallax of any optic out there. And you don't even need a kill flash for holographic optics because the emitter is not seen through the front, which is a nice little bonus. As far as the reticle goes, I think it's a brilliant design. It's very intuitive, very easy to use. Furthermore, you can control your holds with the outer ring, which can be useful. If you do need BDC, they do make the 3.2 and the 3.4 again. And yeah, I'm a big fan. I probably like that reticle more than just about anything I've shot. Now, some people do complain that the reticle is fuzzy. Generally, you're supposed to target focus. In fact, you pretty much always should be target focusing if you're looking through an optic. And that generally remedies the issue. Some people still complain that despite them not focusing on the reticle and focusing on their target, they still see it as fuzzy. I don't know what to tell you. I have astigmatism and I don't have the best eyes, but I don't have any problem with it. You might though, your mileage might vary. I don't know how any of this works, I just shoot stuff. So, as always, make sure that you try before you buy. As far as the glass quality goes, it's absolutely stellar. It's non-reflective, scratch resistant. It's got edge-to-edge clarity, no chromatic aberration, no tint on the glass itself. It is as clear as it possibly could be. Another thing, not all glass is made equal. As far as night vision use goes, this is hands down has to be the best optic for you for passive aiming. Other optics claim to be night vision compatible and they have the brightness settings and everything, but the light transmission through the glass oftentimes is very subpar, if not outright useless. Furthermore, the night vision settings themselves may leave a lot to be desired. On this particular optic, you have 10 night vision settings, which is absolutely absurd, so it's honestly just the best thing out there for you if you are into shooting in the dark with night vision. As far as durability goes, no, I haven't ran any crazy torture tests on it because everyone's already done that. These are battle proven. EOTech has a long storied history of durability. These optics are water resistant, they're scratch resistant, and they're impact resistant. Yes, they do sometimes fail, as everything does, but overall, as far as optics go, I do think that I would trust EOTech over most out there, and I absolutely trust my life with it. Overall, this is a ridiculously easy and forgiving optic to use. It's really easy to acquire, it's very fast to use, it's really well suited for CQB scenarios, and even long distance shooting if you got a good magnifier behind it. Overall, it basically excels at everything that an optic could possibly excel at, with the only trade-off being the price that you pay in blood. I mean battery life. Basically, if you need an optic that stays on for 4 years, this is probably not it for you, but if you are realistic and you understand those limitations and you carry some spare batteries on you, then more power to you. Moving on, let's talk about the G45 5x magnifier. This is a very powerful magnifier. Now, most magnifiers out there traditionally have been like 3 times, like the EOTech G33. Those are very popular, they're great, but 5 times just gives you so much more capability, and honestly not at much trade-off other than just a tiny bit more weight. As far as the length of this magnifier goes, it is 3.9 inches. That's actually shorter than the G33, which comes in at 4.4 inches. Most magnifiers of its class are actually longer as well, and that just kind of makes the thing all the more unique and special because it does not take up as much valuable rail space. And for a lot of people, that really matters a lot. Now, according to EOTech, the eye relief on this thing is ideally at 2.6 inches. That's not the most forgiving eye box. You definitely need to optimize this to make sure that your head positioning and height and everything is lined up with a good distance from this. And it's a 5x magnifier. I mean, the eye box is simply not going to be the best, but that's kind of the trade-off with that kind of magnification. Furthermore, on the plus side, you do get a 4.4 degree field of view, which is very generous, again, especially for some sort of magnification of this class. As far as adjustments go, there are 2 axes which you can adjust so that you can center the optic in front of you so the reticle is perfectly aligned in the middle of your field of view through the magnifier. Also, it has an adjustable diopter, which is extremely useful. Everyone's eyes are different. You want to make sure that while you're looking through this thing, everything is truly in focus. The magnifier also has a nice rubber sleeve on it so that you have shock absorption and protection for it, which is really important, honestly. And it also is waterproof to 10 meters. It weighs in at about 12.8 ounces with the mount that it comes with when it's set up for 1/3 co-witness. Now, as far as the mounts go, I actually opted to use both Unity fast mounts for my EXPS3 as well as my G45. The Unity Fast Omni mount for the G45 is a really nice design because it allows you to flip the optic to center so it's not hanging awkwardly over the edge of one side of your rifle. That makes everything imbalanced, it messes with your field of view, it's just generally not nearly as ideal. However, the trade-off is you generally are going to have trouble running backup irons, especially the rear one here, if you have this kind of setup. So just keep that in mind. Basically, carry spare batteries. Now, as far as price goes, this thing retails for about $679 on street price, which is not cheap. But again, I really do think you get what you pay for. This thing is kind of in a class of its own. Yes, there are cheaper magnifiers out there. Things like from Vortex and Holosun are pretty good for the price that they come at. But again, this is just another step up, and I do strongly recommend it. Now, with the specifics out of the way, let me just give my general thoughts on this magnifier. For one, I wanted something more powerful than a 3x magnifier, so I went with this particular one. I think that 3x is fine, but it does feel a little anemic, and it kind of feels like it's having an identity crisis. It's not sure what it wants to do. It just wants to give you a little bit more magnification, but it's not that useful. A 5x, in my opinion, greatly increases your capabilities. It gives you much more information. It allows you to target more accurately. If you're shooting out to any ranges past 100 yards, then I think the 5x is just a lot more of a game changer. And yeah, there is a trade-off with the eye box. You are going to have a less forgiving eye box on a 5x as opposed to a 3x, but as long as you are training around that, making sure that you have consistent cheek weld and you're just used to using it, it shouldn't be that much of an issue, and I do think that trade-off is absolutely worth it to me. One other thing I really like about this, in conjunction with the EXPS3, where you have a 1 MOA dot, is that when you're looking through that magnifier at that 1 MOA dot, it's still 1 MOA despite having 5x magnification. Again, there's some weird space elf magic there that I will never understand, but basically that's how it works, and you can continue to have pinpoint accuracy at longer ranges, which is really cool and very useful in my opinion. But that doesn't really always ring true for other reflex sights or anything like that. Those reticles will absolutely magnify under the 5x magnifier, but if you do combine this with a holographic sight, yeah, your reticle will not actually get any bigger. Yes, it will fill up more of the field of view of that magnifier, but it won't actually change the reticle size. As far as the glass quality goes, there's not really any detectable tint on it. Light transmission is excellent. Overall clarity is wonderful. I do notice that there is a little bit of chromatic aberration around the edges, but it's not really enough to bother me and it works just fine. And for the kind of magnification that you're getting, I do think that this piece of glass is absolutely excellent. And last but not least, durability. I can't really speak on this with any authority because I have not ran this through any intensive testing, but the fact that it does have that rubber jacket on the outside and these things are meant to be knocked into things and repeatedly shifted around on their levers kind of makes me think that these things are pretty bomb-proof. Furthermore, it's an EOTech, so that also adds a little bit more confidence there. And I trust that if anything does happen to it, they will have my back and send me a replacement if I absolutely need it. Okay, final thoughts. This setup is really cool. I really like it. It's very easy to use, it's very dynamic, it's very fast. It gives me a lot of capability, a lot of different ranges, and it's extremely intuitive to use. Now compare that to my setup here with an LPVO. This LPVO weighs less than this entire optic suite. That said, I still kind of prefer this one over an LPVO just because with the different in-between settings for magnification on an LPVO, I just don't use them. I don't need them. If I have a fixed magnification of 2 different kinds, that's just one less thing to think about and worry about. Furthermore, LPVOs are by no means obsolete for that reason. I think for some people they still are better. But for my purposes, this is definitely quickly becoming my favorite optics setup. And that's all the EOTech talk I've got for you today. I really hope that you found this video useful. If you did, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell too. Furthermore, if you have your own experiences with EOTech or holographic sights or magnifiers in general, please be sure to share that in the comments below. Don't be shy. I will also forever and always thank every single one of you on Patreon keeping this channel afloat. I need camera equipment, I need things to try and review, I need ammo to shoot, gas money now because that's crazy expensive. Everything that you see here comes from viewers like you, and I really couldn't do without you. If you do want to go help chip in, you can always go to patreon.com/tacticalgf. The biggest contributors are named at the end of the video. One last thing, Demonia review. They look great, they're great for goths, but they're not great for the range. Make sure you're wearing appropriate clothing. And that's a wrap. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Please be good to each other out there, and as always, please take care. Bye!